Hey everybody, my name is Paul Esden Jr., aka Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Welcome to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/BoyGreen25. We're also streaming live on the Jets Zone Facebook page, which is my weekly New York Jets podcast. Make sure you guys check that out. New episodes every Wednesday. We're also streaming live on my Twitter account and, again, my YouTube channel. It was time for a breaking news emergency podcast. We immediately had to jump on, of course, the breaking news. First by Josina Anderson and later aggregated, of course, and more details from Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter and others. The Dallas Cowboys have traded Amari Cooper, obviously from the Cowboys, to the Cleveland Browns in exchange for a fifth-round draft choice and a swapping of sixth-round picks. Now, folks, the goal of this emergency show that we're talking about right now is I want to explain why I believe it's a major mistake the New York Jets weren't involved. And wherever you're watching, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, drop your questions, comments, and things, and we'll get to all of those here on this emergency show because I want to hear your guys' takes. I want to hear whether you are for the Jets passing on them or whether you're as angry as I am that they chose to pass on all this. And like I said, we'll get into some insider nuggets I've been hearing on why they weren't as involved as they could have, should have, would have been, and things of that nature. Like I said, you guys can feel free to jump in the comments, which I see are blowing up right now. So feel free, no matter where you are, to hop in. So here are a couple of things. First off, again, the Cleveland Browns land Amari Cooper. Now, part of the thing to consider here in this package is that the Browns got the full deal. There was no renegotiation of Amari Cooper's contract. So the next couple of years at the Mondo numbers of 20 plus million a year are all there on the books for the Cleveland Browns. And like I said, the draft compensation was a fifth round draft choice and then a swapping of sixth round picks. I mean, we're talking about chump change. And this is where I get angry. This is where I get upset because Amari Cooper, and I'm not going to hear any of this bullshit, quite frankly, where people are saying after the fact, well, it's okay because Amari Cooper is an elite. I saw that comment out there. No big deal. He's not as good as people say. Shut the hell up, people. Shut the hell up. Amari Cooper is fantastic. And I'm not going to have this Monday morning quarterback saying, you know what, things are actually okay. Again, the Jets, here's my thing. Before I get to all the angry stuff about Amari Cooper, the Jets better have a goddamn plan. That's what I think we can all agree on. Okay, you don't want to get Cooper for whatever reason. Contractual, Connor Hughes had some things a couple weeks ago about, some attitude issues, whatever. Fine. You don't want him. That's okay. Then you better go get DK Metcalf, Allen Robinson, a receiver in the draft, whoever, but you better have a plan. Okay, because if you have no plan, we're going to be trotting out the guys who are going to be trotting out. Again, I love Elijah Moore. Corey Davis is probably due for a bounce-back year next year, but we need a number one guy. And there are plenty of number one guys to be had this offseason, then they better have a goddamn plan. And I will say a couple of things before I jump into the comments. Why I'm so angry. Guys, we're talking about chump change here. I yelled about it on Twitter, but seriously, I probably have more loose change in my couch cushions than what the Browns just gave up for Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper is a proven and goddamn dynamic weapon, people. 5 of his 7 seasons have been 1,000 yards. The Jets haven't had 1,000-yard receiver since 2015. 2015! And Jet fans are going, Amari Cooper, not that great. Excuse me? Have you looked at the record books lately? Have you watched the offense, perhaps? Have you seen any of that lately? Oh, God. The people saying, no, it's good. I didn't want Amari Cooper. What are you talking about, people? Of course we wanted Amari Cooper. Dynamic, number one wide receiver. He has the goods. And as I shared a couple weeks ago on my Amari Cooper video, which you can find on my YouTube channel if you'd like, when you put Amari Cooper's numbers compared to some of the greatest Jets receivers ever, he's like in the top 3 right now with everything he's done in his career. He would be in the top 3 of every major receiving category for the Jets, from touchdowns, receptions, and yards. So yeah, this guy's pretty good. And if he's not as good as you think, then go watch that video and then come back to me. Come back to the live stream. We'll probably still be here. But the point is this, man. Again, Amari Cooper is fantastic. He is a fantastic player. And I'm pissed that the Jets missed out on him, especially for the deal. I probably would have been willing to give up a third-round pick, let alone a fifth and sixth combinations. Hell, they had fourth-round picks. 5th-round picks. I mean, we could have made something happen, people. So I am disappointed. I am angry. I am furious. And I want to hear from you guys. So let's go through a bunch of these comments here. Again, wherever you are, feel free to also show support wherever you're watching. If you're watching on Facebook, hit the like button. YouTube, thumbs up and subscribe. By the way, we're over 1,000 subscribers, and we've been shooting all the way up, baby. I just see them every day, new subscribers joining the 1K Club, which I love, by the way. Keep the support coming. That's phenomenal. And, of course, on Twitter as well, hit the follow button. Okay, let's jump in. John Hepburn, hello. How are you? Matthias, welcome. Braden, we just did on the details there for Amari Cooper. Again, he is going for the Cowboys to the Browns in exchange for a 5th-round draft choice and a swapping of 6th-round picks. Yep, that is cheap. That is the deal, 100%. Let's try to go through here. Let's go to Matthias. There's DK Robinson yet, but Boy Green, maybe it's going to be hard for them to get their top flight free agents. They might not want to come here. Hey, we got to see if that is indeed the case. I know people talk about that all the time. The New York tax. They haven't been to the playoffs in a long time, but I think a lot of people like Salah. A lot of people like the money. We will see ultimately next week with the legal tampering period on Monday and free agency officially kicking off on Wednesday. We'll probably have another live stream maybe on Sunday, tomorrow. We'll see with some of my last free agent nuggets before all hell breaks loose. So we'll keep you posted on that. John, this is where we can just fairly disagree. We can agree to disagree that he isn't worth $15 million a year in the draft compensation. The draft compensation is nothing. Like, who's going to find an Amari Cooper in the 5th or 6th round? It just doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. Once a blue moon, okay, every blind squirrel finds an acorn, a nut. That's fine. So I throw the draft compensation out the window. Not that I love draft compensation. I love draft picks. But if we're being real, Amari Cooper's way better than anything you would have gotten in any of those rounds. In terms of the money, I don't know. To me, Amari Cooper is really good. I mean, phenomenal. And if you don't believe so, again, look at the stats, watch the tape. My dad is a diehard Dallas Cowboys fan. I've seen like every Cowboys game in history over the last 30 years. Okay? And I've seen a lot of those Amari Cooper games. The only ones I haven't is when the Jets are on, because of course I'm watching the Jets. But anytime not, which is normal because Cowboys are almost always in prime time, I'm seeing Amari Cooper light people up with phenomenal catches, great route running, great attitude from what I've seen. Again, hard knocks behind the scenes and of course, interviews and things like that. Amari Cooper seems like the right kind of guy. So, again, we're going to have to respectfully disagree with each other, John, which I'm fine with. Again, different opinions on this channel are welcome. That's for sure. Let's go to Christian here. DK all the way. Hashtag. Let's get it trending. Hashtag #, baby. DK. I'm all in. Okay. If you miss out on Amari, get me DK. I will shut up and we should light this video on fire and burn it and stoke the flames and stay warm during the winter months. Because if DK's here, okay. And when you guys let me know in the comments when that DK trade goes through, let me know. And I will reverse script here. But right now, a little pissed. And again, Christian, I know a lot of you are going to be coming in here. I will tell you that with this Cooper salary, was it worth it? I'm not buying that, baby. I'm not buying that because ultimately free agents, I know he was traded, but free agents are going to be paid. That's just the nature of the beast. People are going to get a lot of money. And Amari Cooper, how he got his $100 million was he dipped in free agency, kicked around a little bit. The Cowboys gave him that deal, 5 years, $100 million, $20 million per year. To me, it was worth it. To me, it was worth paying that kind of premium because you get what you pay for, okay? And you get what you pay for. And Amari is really good. He is fantastic. And would have been a great fit in this offense. John, cool Titan shirt. Ask Jake how to do the super chat. Yeah, I got to figure that out. I'm not really sure how all that works. I'm new to the 1K Club. But yes, the Titans of New York, I like every episode. I try, and to be honest, weird flex. I got plenty of Jet stuff in the closet where I can mix it up on different videos. So I normally wear Jet stuff every day anyway, but appreciate the love of the Titans of New York. So those younger Jet fans, make sure you do your homework on the New York Titans before they were the Jets in the early 60s. So go do your homework on that. It is a badass shirt, though. Okay, again, wherever you're watching, feel free to jump in, comments, questions, whatever you'd like. Welcome to the show. Again, my name is Boy Green. We're here on an emergency podcast following the Amari Cooper news. Let's go to Braden here on YouTube. Yeah, I'm disappointed. You're right. They better have a plan. DK would make all this go away. No doubt about it. 24 years old. Again, that 235-pound body, 6'4", 340-yard dash speed. Hell yeah, he'd be the #1 wide receiver, baby, and then make it rain. I'd pay him a blank check among the top 5 highest paid wide receivers in football. So no question. Yes, DK to the Jets. Let's speak it into existence. Now, I will say the one kicker to keep an eye out for on this potential is obviously the latest in the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. Since the last time we spoke, there's obviously new news on Deshaun Watson, and the Seahawks are apparently among the teams interested. If they're getting Deshaun Watson, I would doubt they would then be interested in moving on from DK. They'd probably go all in on that youth movement. So that is a factor to keep in mind. But if they don't get Deshaun, right, he goes to anywhere else, which again, Carolina would make sense to me, and Eagles, all kinds of teams. We'll see. He has a no trade clause. But if he goes to Seattle, DK not shaken free. That would be the one ripple effect there. Let's go to Matthias here. Let's Jet fans once more going crazy. Can we wait till this all starts first? What happens if they get DK or Robinson? If they get DK or Robinson, then I mean it go beep beep beep, and that's my whole spiel going backwards. Let's see. Oh wow, I think I don't know how to do this, but I think I just got my first super chat here from Braden. I think it's just a nice comment, so I don't think I could put it up on the screen. Sorry, guys, I'm new to this, but Braden, super chat. Good job, Boy Green. Congrats. I think I just got my first super chat. Again, I don't know how that works, but okay, phenomenal. Thank you, Braden, for the kind words. And guys, feel free to, like I said, if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. New York Jets content all day, every day, baby. We're going to be busy. Cracks the knuckles next week with free agency. We're going to have some cool guests joining us. And on Monday, a fantastic guest. It's hard to follow up Damian Woody. Damian Woody was this week. You can check out that video on my channel, but we've got a pretty solid guy who's going to be running behind that lane, which you should keep an eye out for. If they get Robinson, I'll still be disappointed. Braden, yeah, let's address that because I know these names have been kind of thrown together. Like if you get DK, I mean, I'm buying the DK jersey. I'm doing a little jig, doing a little dance, perhaps. Like Allen Robinson, I think Jet fans, quite frankly, have been clamoring for him for years. I mean, we've just been begging for Allen Robinson. Like, oh, baby, let's get Allen Robinson up in here. Now, he's not quite what he was a couple years ago, but he could have that Brandon Marshall-esque effect, you know, where you bring in a guy who's a little bit older who could still come in and make some things happen. So keep an eye out for Allen Robinson. He wouldn't have the same pizzazz as Amari Cooper or the same pizzazz as DK Metcalf, but he would be interesting. I'm not sure disappointed would be if they ended with Allen Robinson and a draft pick, you know, let's see who the draft pick is, I guess. So I don't want to cop out on that, but, you know, Amari Cooper, again, the point of this video is really, again, we can talk about whatever you guys want, but the main point of this is Amari Cooper. I'm just like, you know, I am kind of sad about that. Bryce Hall says hello. Okay, I love Bryce Hall. So welcome, Bryce Hall. Before I freak out, I have to start seeing what Joe Douglas is up to. That is the most rational take I've seen, Matthias. So that's phenomenal. I hope a lot of you Jet fans have that rational kind of take. Not me. I'm too goddamn emotional. I'm jump all over the place. I'm like, whoa. You know, so like I said, I'm pretty disappointed in this. But again, there is opportunity. There's opportunity to make some things happen. We aren't spending half our cap on a wide receiver. Sorry, guys. Again, you know, I don't know. I feel like there's plenty of money. The salary cap is a myth. You can make things happen. You can do whatever you want one way or another to be able to make things happen. And I don't know, spending half our cap, it's not really half, okay? Depending on who you believe, whether Spot Track or Over the Cap. Over the Cap is the Jets at the second most cap space in the league. Spot Track has them top 5. Regardless, they've got a lot of moolah. I know you got to spend some of that on the draft picks and whatnot, but again, I'd be willing to pay the piper because, again, this is for Zach Wilson at the end of the day, people, and it's worth the premium that is required to make it happen. So I would do whatever I can to make that happen. Let's go back to Matthias here. All these free agent wide receivers are going to get 15 to 20 million. Exactly my point, Matthias. So, again, you know, these guys are going to get paid, and that's what I mean. So, like, for instance, we're going to see some of these receivers get crazy money. Like, I heard a rumor today. Christian Kirk could get $15 million a year. Blech. Disgusting. Christian Kirk? I mean, he's nice. He's okay. I mean, he's a guy, right? But $15 million? Not in your wildest dreams, pal. Or DJ Chark, 10, 11 million. DJ Chark, what have you done? What have you done in this league, DJ Chark? I mean, I like the guy. I like the traits, size, speed, whatnot, but 10, 11 million a year, 15 million a year for Christian Kirk. I mean, what are we talking about, people? Disgusting. Anywho, let's keep rolling here. John Hepburn, we're at a disadvantage because of our income tax. That's a factor. I don't rate that among the biggest factors. I mean, that must be just a guy that is trying to secure the bag by any means necessary. And everyone's different. Some people think the money thing is most important. Some people team fit, championship contender, what have you. All free agents consider very different things. But yeah, it's a disadvantage. But I wouldn't say like it's a deal breaker between one team or the next. Okay, I think I figured this out. So boom, my first ever super chat, I think. So $8.99, cool. Thank you, Braden, for that. So feel free to super chat me up. I don't know really what that means, but I've kind of done some things. I've been on other shows where super chats happen, so that's really cool. I appreciate you guys supporting the channel. That's amazing. We can do more things when stuff like this happens. So thank you, Braden. That's cool, man. Thank you. That's history right there, Braden. You're my first super chat ever. So awesome. And you've been here since day one, so I really appreciate that. All right, let's go back to YouTube here. Ain't easy being green. Given the money given to the 2022 rookies and also be re-signing of returning players, Cooper may have limited JD's ability to address several other areas. That is possible. But again, that's what happens. You got a pile of money. You got to pick what you want to do with it. Now, some people will say re-sign this guy or do this or do that. I don't know. Cooper would have been high on my list. I think he's a dynamic weapon. And Cleveland just got a hell of a lot better grabbing Amari Cooper. That's for damn sure, man. That's for damn sure. So, again, could it have compromised? Sure. Spending money will compromise you in some way because you're using some of your assets. But to me, those were assets worth using because of the ripple effects on the rest of the offense. I think it would have been a dynamic fit. And let's see here. Keep it going. Let's go to Christian Jameson. We can all, and this is a shout out to everyone who's watching on the channel, wherever you're watching. We could talk about other things beyond this Amari Cooper thing if you'd like. Feel free to throw that in there. But that was just kind of the precipice of this emergency pod video. What are your thoughts on the Honey Badger flirting with the idea of playing for us? Yeah, a couple of things here. First off, so it started with, the possibility of Mike Garafolo. That video's out on my Twitter about he name dropped Honey Badger over the last 36 hours or so about him potentially being interested in joining the Jets and the Jets obviously having an interest in him. And it's kind of spread like wildfire since. Tyrann Mathieu he DM'd like a Jets guy that kind of does jersey swaps and stuff, which is NYJ commenter on social media. And he said, hey, what do you think of this, jersey swap of putting him in a Jets jersey? And he said, oh, wow, that looks great. By the way, if I ever joined the Jets, I'd wear number 1, not the number 7 that he wore at OSU. And then a lot of people went, whoa, he'd wear number 1. He's already even potentially contemplating it. And of course, Will Parks, the safety the Jets re-signed, who was kind of a nice pop at the end of the year. He seemingly recruited Honey Badger on Twitter saying, hey, I'll give you a call, bro. And I'm like, okay. So all of that being said, to paint you the full picture here, Christian, I would love the Honey Badger. This is going to be, and I think I said this on another show, but this will be the third time that the Honey Badger, it must have been a Twitter space, actually, Sack Exchange. Shout out to them for the great Twitter spaces. I try to do those when I can. But I joined that Twitter space and talked about Honey Badger. This will be his third time reaching the open market in, next week. And every time he has reached free agency, the Jets have kicked the tires and done their homework, both in 2018 and 2019. Because remember, he was with the Cardinals, then he jumped with Houston, then he jumped with Kansas City, and now he's jumping once again. The Jets have shown interest in the past. Now, those were different head coaches and different front offices, but it's interesting just to note that they had interest in the past. With all that being said, to answer your question, I would love the Honey Badger. I think he'd be a phenomenal fit in this defense. Again, you think about the starting safeties on the roster. Smart move by the Jets, by the way, signing LaMarcus Joyner. Love that. Easy dart throw. At worst, he's great competition in depth. At best, or reverse that. At worst, he's competition. At best, maybe he ends up being a starter. Who knows what happens in the draft and free agency. So great move by the Jets. And Will Parks, another guy. I like the dart throw. Worked out pretty well at the end of the year. I think Honey Badger, though, could be a star on the defense. He's versatile as hell. You can put him all over the place. And to me, and I just had a piece drop, again, for those who don't know, I'm also the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. And I cover the Jets with 3 or 4 articles every day on top of all these podcasts I do. So feel free to check out my work. I like to have conversations. That's really the point of the articles for me. When I write these, I like having conversations on social media about potential ideas and rumors, nuggets, inside sources, and things of that nature. And I would say this, that to me, I think that could be interesting is that the Jets are doing their homework on veterans in free agency. Now, this is one of the biggest misconceptions on Jets social media, so I can address this now on the show, is a lot of Jets fans say, I don't want insert guy. He's old. We're not a piece or two away. We can't sign him. That is all ridiculous nonsense, by the way. The Jets can't just be in that mindset of, we can't have this guy. He's old. People, you need balance on a roster. You need young guys, old guys, a good mix, especially coming off of last year where they were one of the youngest rosters in the entire NFL. They need veterans. They need people with a little gray in their beard, if you know what I mean. Like, they need that on the team. The fact that they're doing their homework should not surprise you. So if the Jets sign some elder statesmen, let's just say next week, don't be surprised, including Honey Badger, who's getting up there in the late 20s, early 30s, as you're kind of projecting this contract out. To me, first off, him flirting with us openly, hell yeah, baby. I love to flirt. Flirt with us, baby. That's great for business. And if the flirtation leads anywhere else, like a serious relationship, I'm also in on that. I think he's a great player, and I don't care about the age. I think he's great. Super chats cut the line. Oh, okay. So people could kind of just jump to, as I'm scrolling here, they can just, so that's what they pay for. They pay for the exclusive, right? I'm going to be honest. I hate those people at like Disney World, you have that free pass that you jump the entire line and kind of jump in there. But I guess I shouldn't hate that because that means money in our pockets, I guess, for the production of this YouTube. So I guess that's something I'm just going to have to get used to. When those people cut in line at Disney in the future, I'm like, yeah, I respect it. That's what you pay for, baby. I'll keep waiting here because I'm selective. I was going to say cheap, but I'm not cheap. I'm selective, people. I'm selective, but appreciate the supports. All right, let's see. Vern on YouTube. Wait till we cut Davis after the season to invest big in wide receiver. That's possible. Corey Davis continues to struggle. There is an out in his contract next year where they could, again, get out. This year was terrible, again, with drops, most drops of his career, fumbles, inconsistencies, and just too often, Zach Wilson threw up a pretty decent 50-50 ball op, and he dropped it. And you're like, wow, you got to make plays for your quarterback. So I think a bounce-back year is coming. Connor Rogers feels the same way. Again, you can hear that conversation on Monday. That drops at 8 a.m. to give you guys the tease on that for my Mock Draft Monday series. Again, it's a playlist, Path to the 2022 NFL Draft. Check that out on my YouTube channel. But, yeah, I think Davis is back for a big year. But, yes, if he continues to struggle, he could be cut. Let's go here, Matthias. It's not about the money. Maybe JD thinks he's not a fit. What do I know? I mean, schematically speaking, he would be a great fit. Now, Again, there were questions about Amari Cooper, getting back to Amari Cooper here. There were questions about his attitude and things. And last year, obviously, he appeared on the radio show and kind of questioned things with the Cowboys. But again, this is how I put it with Amari Cooper. I don't think he's a diva wide receiver in the sense of, OBJ or whatever name you want to. I like OBJ, but whoever your diva guy is, right, that just causes a lot of issues. People have said that about OBJ. For me, I think what I've seen from Amari is if he's not getting the ball and they're winning, he's cool. From my experience, again, my dad's a diehard Dallas Cowboys fan. I've seen a bunch of games. But from my experience with Amari Cooper and other receivers of this, realm, okay, is they're fine if they're winning football games and they're not getting the ball. They're like, well, we're winning football games. I don't care. But when they're losing football games, they're not getting the ball. That's where they draw the line in the sand and say, hey, Amari Cooper, whoever the person is, says, hey, I'm a pretty talented guy. I could help us if you would throw me the goddamn ball. And then some people call that diva and all that. To me, that's just a football player trying to win some football games. Like, hey, I'm talented. Help me, help you. Help me, help you. Get that line out there. So, I don't call that a diva. I think Amari is a good player and a good locker room guy, but obviously that could be a factor, Matthias. I'm not in Joe Douglas's head. So, maybe that's how he feels. Let's go to Quarter Water BX on YouTube. Watch the Jets get Landry when he gets dropped. Jarvis Landry is an option. Rich Cimini mentioned him as a guy that could be kind of thrown out there. The only thing that I don't like, we're just talking about diva, is not that Jarvis Landry is a diva, but he just kind of went on Twitter, went all crazy, blasting the Browns and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. So maybe if we're talking about potential fits, that could be an issue. But I don't know. I don't know Jarvis well enough to really speak on it to any great lengths. But he could be a guy if they're looking for kind of a possession receiver. That's kind of what he's brought to the table historically. Christian, I've been asked a lot of Zach Pascal questions, more than I thought. I don't know what the Vegas over-under 800 number was on Zach Pascal questions, the Indianapolis Colts wide receiver, but calling him Debo 2.0. Everyone's trying to find the next Debo. That's a sexy thing. A couple of years ago, who's the next Sean McVay? Now, who's the next Debo? He's the current hot thing right now. In the NFL, which is cool. From what I hear, I think Zach Pascal actually have a pretty robust market. Somewhere in the 8-9 million range is things that I heard when I was doing some homework this week on Zach Pascal after so many questions on a multi-year deal. So that's a pretty nice market for Zach. We will see if that's a target for the Jets. I haven't necessarily heard that. I haven't not heard that, but I just really haven't circled the wagons on that one. But from what I hear, though, he could have a pretty nice market in free agency. So he could be an interesting guy to keep an eye on, and under the radar guy, but still enough to get some pretty decent money. Let's see. John Hepburn, let's draft Linderbaum and give him number 00. That'd be cool. I don't think I've ever seen a number 00 outside of like longest yard or like XFL or something. That'd be kind of cool. But again, if we're going to go on the Linderbaum train, I'm fine, but I don't want Linderbaum at 4, and I certainly don't want him at 10. I mean, again, if he was drafted at 4 or 10, he'd be the highest drafted center in the modern era. Again, I'm not so sure. The Jets should be making that kind of history. I don't think they have the gonads. I don't think they have the respect around the league to kind of throw that around. Maybe they do. Maybe they say, hey, we're going to make history and we're going to set a trend, perhaps. But I just don't know if that's going to happen. I think those who are Linderbaum people, by the way, a great conversation was with Damian Woody earlier this week. Check out that video on my channel. And Damian Woody, for those who don't know, is the highest drafted center prospect since 1994. So if anyone could answer the Linderbaum Jet stuff, I felt Damian Woody was the best to do that. So I would highly recommend checking out that video. He's a beast. Let's see. Vibs Shop on YouTube. Is that Santa Claus? Anywho, Joe Douglas should be an accountant, not a GM. He cleanly knows how to save a penny, but he doesn't know how to get talent on the team. See, that has been a legitimate question about Joe Douglas, about, saving money. But the fact of the matter is he has chosen to spend some moolah last year. Carl Lawson, $45 million. Corey Davis, 37.5. So he spent money, but he hasn't reset the market, which I'll bring up another topic that I wasn't planning on talking about on the show. But there is conflicting reports on the Jets' interest in cornerback J.C. Jackson, who did not get the franchise tag from the New England Patriots. Some people I've talked to said, oh, yeah, they're all in on J.C. Jackson. I've heard other people say, not interested. It's not real. Don't buy it. So we will see. Again, we'll see who wins that pissing contest next week. But if J.C. Jackson, he would reset that theory, Vibs, because, JC's going to get crazy money. He could become the new highest paid corner in all of football. That could happen if a bidding war ensues for his services in free agency. Keep an eye out for that. Let's go to Matthias here. This is why you built the draft. The free agents want to come to you, not praying to get them. That's a good point, too. Again, I don't think you should completely ignore free agency. I think it is a necessary part of the offseason process, but the important part is pairing things with free agency and draft. If you're able to pair the both, I think that puts you in a good spot. Mike Donovan on YouTube, it's not a mistake. There is no position to pay a non-quarterback at this point. They're not paying the Honey Badger. They're not paying Emmanuel Ogbah. That's not how it's going to go down with JD. Mike, this is a part, again, where we either agree to disagree or just simply we'll just see what happens, because the fact that people are saying like Honey Badger and Ogbah, they're not going to pay any of those guys. They're just going to be rando guys at the bottom. I think you guys are going to be surprised next week when they're throwing money around. But we will see. Again, Mike, we will see. Like I said, I respect all opinions on this show, but I do think that it is going down with JD where he's going to be aggressive in free agency. But ultimately, we'll see what happens. Neil Glassman, love that you came on after the breaking news. Will you be doing this as free agency unwinds? Neil, TBD, we will see. One of the plans I will share with you guys that I'm planning on doing, I experimented with it a little bit last year and it kind of got a nice response, is every time the Jets sign a free agent, okay? And I did it for a couple of the free agents last year when the Jets signed Corey Davis, when the Jets signed Justin Hardy, when the Jets signed Carl Lawson. I'm trying to think of all the other ones, but it was a lot of them where I brought on an insider from wherever they came from. So we brought on a Bengals insider for Carl Lawson. We brought on a Titans insider for Corey Davis, and they give us the take. Hey, what do you think of the money that he got? Hey, what do you think about the fit in the offense? How did they do on their other team? So I love doing those videos. I think that's really cool to give you guys all kinds of cool insight. But of course, how could we not do some breaking news videos? So I won't guarantee it, but I will say that it is certainly in the conversation. Why wouldn't we do some of that action, especially some exciting signings? You know, if the Jets throw some money at insert player, we'll certainly be talking about. Like I said, I plan on having some sort of stream tomorrow, kind of our last ditch effort, free agent target, everything tomorrow on the show. So stay tuned. Like I said, hit the subscribe button, hit that little bell notification so you don't miss it. But we'll probably try to do that some point tomorrow night. Some sort of live stream with final nuggets, because on Monday, all hell breaks loose, the legal tampering period and free agency on Wednesday. So things are about to get spicy. So I do imagine we will be doing that, Neil. But thank you so much for the suggestion and kind of conversation. I think we will be doing that. All right, let's go to Flash Aussie Gordon from Panama. Joe D just never is going to pay $20 million for a wide receiver on a one-year rental. It's just not his way. Just give him a chance to see how free agency and other trades play out. Just so you know, it would not be a one-year rental. Amari Cooper is under contract for multiple years. The Jets could get out under any given year, but just to clarify that piece of it. But again, I'm not lighting Joe Douglas up, okay? Because again, anything can happen. They could trade for DK tomorrow. I don't know. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I have no idea. Or sign Allen Robinson or what have you. But I will say in the moment, and I kind of like this because for those who don't know, I like kind of sharing this as well, is that I'm not only a digital reporter for the Jets, I'm also a diehard fan, and I like having both sides of that. I like having the reporting side so I could give you guys some professionalism and some insight. I love having the fan side, showing you my raw emotions, like on a video like this where it's kind of breaking news and I just kind of share my immediate take. I hear a couple of things. We didn't go live as soon as it broke, but we waited a couple of minutes to get some more stuff in. To consider it. And like I said, a couple of things that I think I shared about this is Connor Hughes said a couple of nuggets here. Connor Hughes reported that the Jets were never seriously in it. They were concerned about the contract, basically, to your point, Flash. And the Cowboys were not going to renegotiate a deal. They were going to sell the product, quote unquote, as is, and then let the world kind of take over there. And the other piece to the puzzle is Connor Rogers shared, lead NFL draft analyst, which, by the way, will join us on Monday at 8 a.m. Keep an eye out for that. That the Jets like the receiver class. And obviously receivers will be cheaper than the free agents and trades and things of that nature. We will see if that is indeed true. So Connor Rogers and Connor Hughes both do great work, so we'll keep an eye out for that. But I will say that to my point of being both reporter and fan, my raw emotions is you see a really good player like Amari Cooper get traded for a bag of peanuts, a half-eaten Snickers bar. I'm going to be angry about it. So we will see, though. There's more they can do. I'm not going to throw them completely under the bus, say, what an idiot, what a horrible guy. But I think it was a mistake to pass on Amari Cooper. Now, let's see what their next choice or option is, and maybe that will change my opinion. But right now, I'm disappointed, and I think a lot of Jet fans are. I think I speak for a lot of Jet fans here who are disappointed the Jets didn't end up with Amari Cooper, especially when you consider the compensation. A 5th-round pick and a swapping of 6th-round picks. I mean, come on, man. Come on, man. Like, that's a proven guy. You know exactly who Amari Cooper is. There's no guesswork. You know who he is, and you retain all your top assets and get a guy like Amari Cooper. The what ifs and what could have happened, to me, that's hard to overlook. Let's go to Mike Donovan here on YouTube. Next year, after they cut Lawson, Davis, and CJ, they'll have close to $50 million in cap space with just getting them alone. They're building through the draft. I don't know about the Lawson potential cut. Again, we have to see on that. And CJ, I think they really like. They may restructure his contract, which would guarantee future money in there. So keep an eye out for that. But they are building through the draft. And I'm not upset. I'm like, to be honest, more of you, because again, we got a huge surge of subscribers recently. So a lot of you guys are meeting me for the first time. I'm a major draft nerd. I've loved the draft. My birthday is April 26th. My birthday and the draft have basically been right next to each other for my entire life, obviously. And I love the draft. And I think you do need to build through the draft, but you can't ignore free agency and trade. Those are necessary pieces to the puzzle. You need a balance of everything, I think, to take you to the next level. YouTube, YT goes, San Fran isn't paying a wide receiver more than $5 million a year. They have only one first-round receiver. San Fran believes in offensive production by committee. Cooper taking up almost a third of our cap space is bad. I will say this. A lot of people compare things to San Francisco, and that's a great example and model to look at, right? how Robert Saleh will operate defensively, what positions he values, and things of that nature. But it's not a carbon copy. This isn't San Francisco, Jets or the New York 49ers. Like, they're their own beast. But we will see on wide receiver value. Ultimately, because again, think about Corey Davis, for instance. What's again 12 and a half a year, so it's not always true. And again, Amari Cooper, you got again what you have to weigh in every decision is risk versus reward. Okay, we're paying him a lot of money, but we're getting a really good player, so sometimes you got to give and take a little. Let's go to Christian Jameson on YouTube. Here's a scenario for you. You pay Chandler Jones a 2-year deal that you could get out after 1 year and also draft Kayvon to be under him. How good would this D-line be with JFM, Lawson, and Q? It would be phenomenal, quite frankly. Again, I have pounded the chest for Chandler Jones. Again, he's a guy, for those who don't know, was born and raised in Endicott, New York. He went to Syracuse College, where I covered him collegiately here locally. He's a phenomenal player, perhaps the most underrated pass rusher in the NFL. From what I've heard, he's going to have a robust market, 15 to 18 million a year. Looks like around the numbers he's going to get, and that could even increase with a bidding war. A lot of teams are going to be interested. I've heard Denver is super interested in Chandler Jones, so keep an eye out for that one. But he's the kind of pass rusher I would add to the mix. You need rotation of guys. I love Kayvon Thibodeau. He's my number one player on my board. I love Kayvon. Put him with JFM, Carl Lawson, Quentin Williams. Again, the more the merrier. Another guy to watch out for, Connor Hughes brought this up, is Fletcher Cox, a potential trade of Fletcher Cox to the Jets. That would cost probably a third or fourth round draft choice. And if you think about it, him and Foley Fatukasi have very comparable size numbers. But if Foley leaves and Fletcher comes in, while you don't have the same elite run defense that Foley brought, but you get some pass rush, baby. Fletcher Cox in his decade in the leagues had like 58 sacks. So keep an eye out for that one. Joe Douglas connection. They were together for 4 years, won a Super Bowl together. Fletcher Cox, there's some smoke around that potentially as well. So keep an eye out for that one. Excuse me. I'm not sold on Cooper. I love this. Again, a lot of people aren't. Not a lot of people are on the Amari Cooper train. There's some on both sides. Jimmy Kelly on YouTube. How is not getting Cooper a huge mistake? We have 10 holes and he would take up half our cap. How are you going to fill out the rest of your roster? You guys are hilarious. Jimmy, I am open to different opinions. I've said this a couple of times on here. Again, we have 10 holes, but guess what? You have to mix quality and quantity. They're going to sign somebody for this kind of money in free agency. It's going to happen. They're going to sign somebody for this. So if you have to pick and choose, again, let's call it the 10 holes, right? On offense, okay, get a Deshaun Elliott, a Justin Reed at safety. You pay a little less at safety and you can pay more at wide receiver. Also, Zach Wilson's on his rookie contract, so you have a little bit more financial flexibility across the entire roster to get crazy and do all kinds of things, Jimmy. So, again, to me, I think it is a mistake. I think Amari Cooper is a stupid, talented player who was had for peanuts. And to me, again, at any point, you could have gotten out of the contract. He's under contract for like the next 3 years at like 20, 22, 23 million per year. But you can cut him at any time or do the same thing the Cowboys just didn't, trade him to somebody else. If you wanted to, you still would have had a lot of flexibility. So we're going to have to agree to disagree there, Jimmy. But I respect the opinion, man. I respect the opinion. Excuse me here. Let me go back to YouTube. Nodcraft, Douglas sucks at free agency, though. I'm looking forward to the disappointment on Monday. Knob, I love the positivity. Although, hey, every blind squirrel finds a nut. George Fant was pretty good in free agency. I'm still a massive fan of Carl Lawson, so I think he's still going to be really good. Ultimately, the proof will be in the pudding. He hasn't played a snap yet. But again, keep an eye out. There's going to be a lot of rumors coming out over the next couple of days here on free agency. Jimmy Kelly, most Jet fans were fighting about what wide receivers to take this year. I will say this, Jimmy, because I like a lot of the receivers in the draft. I like Treylon Burks. I like Drake London. I like Garrett Wilson. Okay, Chris Olave. I like Jameson Williams. I mean, I like all the top five, to be honest with you. I think they're all dynamic in their own ways. So, you know, I think we can be open to evaluating multiple options. Just because I love Amari doesn't mean I hate the receivers in the draft or vice versa. Just because I love the receivers doesn't mean I hate Amari. Those things aren't mutually exclusive. I can like both. And I think a lot of Jet fans like both. So if they decide to go rookie receiver, which Connor Rogers believes that's the plan for the Jets, it's a little dangerous going to the draft and saying, man, we're getting a receiver, because that means everyone else is going to know you're going receiver. And that's a dangerous game to play. That's why I like addressing things ahead of time so you could go BPA. That's normally my modus operandi from that standpoint. Let's see. Now I can't believe we didn't trade 20 picks for 20 million. Again, I think you can, again, those two things to me, Jimmy, are not mutually exclusive. I think you can like multiple things. Let's go JR1068 on YouTube. I hate to be negative, but I'm convinced JD not interested in a winning team, and I really don't understand why, because at this rate, he's not going to have much time left. Again, I'm not going to go that far that he's not interested in a winning team because it's Amari Cooper thing. Again, I'm disappointed, and I think it's a mistake not to go after Amari Cooper. But again, that is not a ironclad ideology, and it can't be changed. If you trade for DK, I change my mind. I'll come on here and say I'm a big dumb animal, folks. Way to go for DK. But in this very moment of what we know right now, again, it's hard not to be a little disappointed, especially if you are an Amari Cooper believer. John Hepburn, curious, did the Patriots pay anyone $20 million? The Cowboys pay everyone $20 million. Yeah, Zeke, yeah, so many. I mean, Dak Prescott, 100 players that seemingly get a lot of money there. And now they're shipping them all off. They just traded Amari Cooper. Lyle Collins could be next. He's a very talented lineman. He could be next. And the Patriots pay anyone over $20 million. Off the top of my head, I'm trying to think of, they paid a lot for Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith. They threw some money, mega money there. Matthew Judon got a lot of money. I don't know, 20 million's a lot, but probably, I'm sure, probably. Let's see. Corey Davis is trash. Oof. Again, as an emotional plea here, I will say, it's not. I went to the Bills game, for instance, the only Jets game I went to this year at MetLife Stadium, and the Corey Davis fumble at the end of the first half, just like, ugh. There's just so much blech. So, you want to call him trash, that's fine. He needs to prove himself. He had a horrible year. He had almost a career low in every major statistical category. He was just god awful. So I can't defend Corey Davis right now. He's got a lot to prove. Mike Donovan, Chandler Jones, that guy's hurt every year like Carl Lawson. Look at the stats, pal. They're not in the same category. Let's compare this. Carl Lawson has never had a double-digit sack season his entire career. Chandler Jones has had almost more than anyone since he entered the league back in 2012. So he is the concept that he's hurt every year is a misnomer. Chandler Jones, while we can pull up the numbers on Chandler Jones, the thing that he has been is effective. Look at the sack production. I mean, this is a guy who's an absolute beast. He just gets it done, and he's, again, to me, one of the most underrated pass rushers in the way to get it done. So as I pull up the stats here for Chandler Jones, as we do for Pro Football Reference.com, in terms of always getting hurt, he had, so let's, to your theory, we'll go back from 2016 to now. He played a full season in 2016, full season 2017, full season 2018, full season 2019, was hurt in 2020, and then played 15 games last year. So I hate to be that guy, Mike, but I would look at the stats, pal. He only has one season in the last 7 years that he missed more than one game. So, or missed more than 2 games, rather. Let's do it that way, because last year he played in 15. There's 17 games now. So if you look at all these numbers, he's been predominantly healthy, quite frankly, Mike. So I'm going to have to push back on that. And again, the sack production speaks for itself. Here are the sacks since he came into the league back in 2012, okay? And so he had 6 sacks, 11.5, 6, 12.5, 11, 17, 13, 19, 1 from the injury year, and then 10.5 last year. I know much of that came in that Tennessee Titans season opener, but still, give me that kind of production on line 1, please. And that's a great point, John Hepburn. Chandler Jones would be a great mentor for Thibs and the rest of this. So let's see. Let's go here. Let's see. Christian Watson seems to fit Zach's arm stroke. We need a stretcher field. Could be a factor in the 35 or 38 range. I do not believe he ends up being a first-round pick. Talented player. Senior Bowl lit it up. I think he's talented. Christian Jameson, thoughts on Trayvon Walker and Jordan Davis? I'll start with Trayvon Walker. He's a guy I'm down on. I'm going to be honest, Christian. I think he's an elite run stuffer, which obviously the Jets need. But the thing I fear is all the pass rush projections. And we'll talk about this, actually. This is a topic of conversation on my interview with Connor Rogers that drops on Monday. Again, he's a guy that kind of scares me. He's a guy that, again, he just doesn't have the pass rush on tape. So you got to project it. So I'm just going to get basically, I'm going to draft, not to oversimplify, but I'm going to draft Foley Fatukasi with the 4th or 10th overall pick. No thanks. And Jordan Davis is good, but he's going to go somewhere in that 10 to 20 range. Another big boy from Georgia. So, but he had obviously a phenomenal combine, one of the best combines we've seen in recent memory. But you always got to be worried about the combine warrior. That's the other thing that scares me. Never too old to be a wise ass on YouTube. $20 million a year for one person is reminiscent of a McCagnon move. It just seems like a whole lot. It would be. Again, that's a lot of money for one person. But ultimately, And Joe Douglas thought that it was too much, obviously, in all of this. But sometimes you got to risk it to get the biscuit. And this would be a scenario where I risk it to get the biscuit. That's just how I feel. And I just think he's so good. The route running is drool worthy. Again, the hands are phenomenal. The attitude is great. Like, man, everything I've seen. Again, I can't speak to all the off the field stuff. I don't know. I've never met Amari. I don't have any idea. Connor Hughes had some good stuff on some of the questionable stuff behind the scenes. I can't speak to that, but I can only speak to what I see, and I see a really good football player. JR subbed. Great content. Appreciate you, brother. Again, another shout out to everyone who's joining in. Feel free to drop in questions or comments wherever you're watching. We're streaming live simultaneously on my YouTube channel, my Twitter account, and my Facebook page, The Jet Zone, which, of course, is my weekly New York Jets podcast. New episode every Wednesday where we stream live here as well. And again, guys, feel free to hit that subscribe button, baby. We're over 1,000, and I want to keep this thing shooting to the moon, baby. Jets content all day, every day. And again, my name is Boy Green. For those who don't know me, I am, again, a New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com, and I am a diehard New York Jets fan. I love balancing the two. All right, let's keep going with a couple comments here before we jump off. I've cooled down a little bit on the Amari stuff. Let's go Braden. I really didn't want to take a receiver in the first 2 rounds. I think a sweet spot, again, 10 would be interesting because, again, there's just so many really good receivers. But on the other side, there's been great value. Elijah Moore is probably the best example in the second round last year. But, Jahan Dotson could be interesting. Does Jameson slip? John Mechie in the mid rounds? Again, there's a lot of different directions to go. But this obviously would force your hand. If you don't go Allen Robinson, you don't trade DK Metcalf, you don't do some of these things, then you have no choice. And that's what I don't like during the draft. Knobcraft, cosign, Corey Davis being trash, which I love. Oh, wait, Mike Donovan, Corey Davis, Carl Lawson, both trash. Okay, let's just start throwing. We need a new segment for trash and let everybody just throw people in the trash, apparently. So, again, Carl Lawson has a lot to prove, and Corey Davis coming off a rough year. So that's fair. John Hepburn, I was mad at Corey Davis because you drop rookie quarterback passes. That's a football sin. Yeah, it reminds me, the one that jumps out to my mind, the Denver Broncos game, Zach Wilson had this great rollout to the left, threw it to Corey Davis. The throw was within, if I remember correctly, the 10 or 15-yard line, and he dropped it. And I'm like, it was just one of those classic examples where, again, that could have kept the drive alive and changed a game, but he had a lot of brutal drops, which are just frustrating. Then he had a couple explosives, right? So week 1, 5 catches, 97 yards and 2 touchdowns. We're like, whoa, Titans game, revenge game on his old team. Like, whoa, that was cool. But again, it's so inconsistent. That's concerning. Let's see. Let's go to JR here. He certainly didn't live up to the contract. If you're talking about Amari Cooper or Corey Davis, whoever you're talking about, Corey Davis obviously is not. And Amari Cooper, again, part of it was the Raiders because they drafted him with the number 4 overall pick, but 5 of his 7 years have been 1,000 yards. Not bad at all. But the receiver market changes all the time. Never too old to be a wise ass on YouTube. A Cooper move is something you do when you're just a few pieces away from contention, not a bunch like the Jets are. Again, this is where I'm going to aggressively push back, people. I think if you have that mentality, that is a loser's mentality. Now, I'm not saying you go you trade both of your first-round picks for Deshaun Watson. I'm not saying you go crazy, but to not consider an Amari Cooper kind of move, that makes you better. You need to embrace being better. Get rid of the loser's mentality and be better. Amari Cooper makes you better. You are a better football team than Amari Cooper. And what do you sacrifice? A couple bucks? You figure it out. You pay someone else a little bit less. To me, you got to do what you got to do. And Mike, please do on Chandler Jones. Again, the only reason I'm not the only reason, but one of the reasons I have a real line with Chandler Jones, I covered him here in college. I know his family. Again, Arthur Jones was in the NFL. His other brother who won a Super Bowl championship, his other brother, John Jones, John Bones Jones, is the greatest mixed martial artist of all time. I'm a closet MMA fan, for those who don't know. I've been watching that since the 90s. Big MMA fan, but check Chandler Jones. The injury stuff is a myth. He was only injured 2 years ago and was out. He only played 5 games. The rest of it, he's been super durable. So I would double check that. But leader, sack production, again, he's a good fit. Let's see. All right. Wow. Let's see if I could get this. All right. The Wicked 50 Cal. I'm just a bit angry, frustrated, JD. He seems extremely cheap when it comes to both draft picks and money. If Hal Steinbrenner was an NFL GM, Joe D would be him. Again, until he changes that narrative, until he changes that narrative, it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be very difficult. But like I said, in the devil's advocate sense, again, he paid $45 million to Carl Lawson. He paid $37.5 million to Corey Davis. So he is willing to spend selectively, which I think is interesting. So that's a good counter. Is Cleveland a piece or two away? If that's what we're going with, again, there's a question about Baker Mayfield. Some people say they may jump into the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. Look at them. Are they a piece or two away? Are all these teams like? I don't know. I don't know, man. It's hard for me to kind of say that. I just think you need talented players, regardless of the situation. Okay, let's go to Jimmy Kill. How do you build the 32nd ranked defense when you have $28 million left after a Cooper trade and you have to pay most of that to your draft picks? Love the content, by the way. Appreciate that, Jimmy. And again, I love pushback, baby. I don't want a bunch of yes men where you're like, Paul, you're handsome. Like, I mean, if you people want to say that, feel free. My ego would love that. But, I'm all for pushback, baby, if you want to question something. To me, I think there are a lot of creative ways. So let's try to break it down here because it's easy for me to say, big mistake this and not provide you a plan. So let's put the entire defense on the screen for a second. Okay, so corner, I think you get a number one corner. Here's one way you could do it. 4th or 10th overall, you get Sauce Gardner. Booyah. You got your corner thing figured out, and it's dirt cheap because, again, if you go for J.C. Jackson, Carlton Davis, that's going to be $14 million or $20 million plus. So, okay, Sauce Gardner, boom, corner's done. Safety, I'd go some combination of like Tyrann Mathieu, who's going to be probably in that 13, 14 million per year range. And then you get like a smaller level guy like Deshaun Elliott, Jordan Whitehead, some combination there. So we still have some money to work with here. So $28 million after the Cooper trade and your draft pick. So now we're hovering around, I don't know, call it 15 million, something like that. So, okay, we just figured out safety. Boom. Corner's done. Boom. I bring in a low-level linebacker, maybe someone from the 49er schemes of the past. So either one of those guys could be interesting. You could make one of those low-level trades. You could get like Ebukam. You could get Dre Greenlaw, something like that, which would come relatively cheap. So you fix that. Defensive tackle, I think you could get a big, juicy, slab of meat that could kind of be a space eater, like a Star Latuile of the Buffalo Bills, Harrison Phillips of the Buffalo Bills I've brought up in the past. I'm trying to think of some other just big, nasty hogmog who's going to come like dirt cheap. You throw him in the middle, and then you throw a couple of edge rushers in there. Booyah, boom, there you go, baby. That's it. That's how I figured it out. So feel free. Keep it simple, RC. Yeah, a good reminder, everybody, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. Make a tremendous difference to the YouTube overlords for this content, and also show support for the channel. And hit that subscribe button as well. Hit those buttons. Get your button fix in. If you like pressing buttons, booyah! I just gave you your fix for the day. Thumbs up and subscribe for more Jets content. Mike Donovan, they don't want to give Berrios $6 million. That would be about my range, probably $5 to $6 million a year for Berrios. But again, if you really think about it, the only way Berrios makes that up, to be honest, is he your slot receiver? Because look at it right now. So you have Corey Davis, Elijah Moore. They're there no matter what you do. Then you're theoretically getting Allen Robinson, draft pick, whoever. So there's your starting three. Then Berrios is like this gadget slot special teams guy, and if you pay anything more than $6 million, it's a gross and egregious overpay. Like if someone else is wanting to give Berrios $7, $8, $9 million a year, God bless, baby, enjoy it. But again, to me, that's the range. That's where we're getting crazy. Knobcraft, I love you, man. Great content. Got me to cut the heck up. I love it, Knob. Hey, if I could get people to laugh and have a good time, I'm doing it, baby. Keep it simple, RC. I'm actually okay with missing out on Cooper. JD needs to resign Berrios and give Robinson an offer he can't refuse. The offer he can't refuse thing scares me a little, but I think we're in a point with the Robinson conversation. Is there half of the people in the world that say he's going to get like a 1-year prove-it deal, right? He's going to test out things, get maybe a high-value 1-year deal for 14, 15-ish million. Again, I'm kind of throwing dart throws, but something like that, incentive-laden, and they could double dip next year after a great year in theory. Or some people are saying, oh, man, because the receiver market is so, kind of depressed, he could get a 3-year deal for $45 million. Ultimately, we will see. For me, though, if you could get him on a prove-it deal, that'd be tasty. Let's see. That would surprise me, keep it simple, RC, if JD matches whatever Berrios is offered. Again, if he gets a crazy slot money, if the agent bullshit isn't wrong about him getting $8, $9 million, if he's getting something like that, see ya. don't let the door hit you with a good Lord split you. And I'm all for people getting money. Like, for instance, Foley Fatukasi was reported this week. He's going to get $10+ million a year. God bless, pal. Not getting that here. God bless wherever you get that. Good team leader, but I'm not paying that for a guy who has zero pass rush and could just kind of stuff the run, which, again, even with him stuffing the run, they were still in the bottom of the league last year. So, sorry. Maybe it gets worse, but can't get much worse. Flash from Panama. I still prefer a free agent wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2 in round 2 of the draft. BP, in my view, is defense for 4 and 10. Again, the combination for me, which would be ideal in that circumstance that you just brought up, is you go Sauce at 4 or 10. If he's there at 10, God bless, and KT. Kayvon Thibodeau and Sauce would be great. If you get them in some combination, I think that would be a home run draft if you attack offense and free agency and make some things happen. Let's go through a couple more here before we sign off. I've been on for about 54 minutes. Love all the responses, guys. This is great. John Hepburn, it's not over yet. Trader Joe has something up his sleeve. That's why we didn't pull the trigger on Amari. I hope you're right, John. And it would make a lot of sense because, again, if he just said all the trade stuff for nothing, that'd be pretty weird. If he just said, oh, we're going to be aggressive, trade, and then they do nothing, he's going to look like an egg on his face. JR, one huge problem I have with Corey Davis' signing is he's not a number one. He is absolutely not. Now, fortunately, he's not being paid like one. $12.5 million is not number one wide receiver money. Number one wide receiver money is 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and hell, DeAndre Hopkins is getting $27.5 million per year. So that's the one thing, though, that I loved about the Corey Davis thing is he wasn't getting paid wild money, which I think helps. He only signs players to 1-year deals. He did that in the first year. This past year, again, Carl Lawson was 3, Corey Davis was 3. He didn't give any crazy 5-year, $85 million. He didn't give any Mosley contracts out. We'll see if he's willing to do that this time. And so we'll see. Guys, by the way, thank you. This was therapeutic for me. You've calmed me down. I was screaming at the beginning of this video, and now all of a sudden we've calmed all the way back down. We've come all the way back down to homeostasis as we get ready for, again, the legal tampering period on Monday and free agency on Wednesday. Guys, thank you so much for joining us on this emergency podcast live stream. It was a lot of fun and a lot of, again, therapeutic, cathartic, just getting all this off our chest and getting it. Because, again, I believe it was a mistake considering the draft compensation and all of that. But nonetheless, we'll be back on the channel soon. Again, make sure, everybody, you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. At a minimum, the next video that will come out is on Monday morning. Connor Rogers, lead NFL draft analyst for Bleacher Report. We recorded that episode this week. That drops 8 a.m. live on Monday. Make sure you check it out. Again, Path to the 2022 NFL Draft playlist for all the great videos with guys like Connor Hughes, Damian Woody, and now Connor Rogers coming up on Monday. Thanks, everybody. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and you can follow me beyond these videos and chat with me at BoyGreen25 on Twitter. All right, thanks, everybody. Peace out.